Hello there. I've been asked several times about stropping. I've got some stropping videos up, but it seems like to me that stropping is always one of the things that people have the hardest time with. So one more time, I'm going to do, and all going to do right now is, this is going to be short. It's going to be basic stropping technique. You must learn this before you start trying to go really fast or anything of the sort. This technique is fundamental to good stropping. So do what you have to do to learn this perfectly as you can. Then you can move on. All right, let's move on down. Now, I've had a couple of people, not a whole lot, but you see it also a lot of times on Facebook and the shaving forums, and they say, well, I bought a cheap strop and I think my strop's bad. Well, I don't advise buying cheap strops. If your strop costs $15, it's probably not a good strop. If it costs $6, it's probably not a good strop. But all you need, really, truly, honestly, to strop a razor is nice, smooth leather. Doesn't matter how thick it is, doesn't matter how much money it costs, doesn't matter how ugly it is, it has to be absolutely smooth leather. Period. If it's smooth leather and it's got a finished side, not a rough side, a suede side, a finished, smooth finished side, you're golden. It will strop your razor without any issues whatsoever. Let me adjust the zoom. I want to get in. That's probably as close as I can get and still show the whole strop. So, basic stropping technique. You take your blade, and I'm laying it with the spine like this because I don't want to, if I lay this blade down on this strop and it's not moving, the chances are I will nick this strop. So what you do is you lay that razor down flat with the spine and the edge both contacting the strop flat. And they have to stay flat the whole way up and down that strop. You pull your strop tight, but you don't have to, we're not hauling a truck. You're just pulling the strop taut. It's going to give a bit. See how I've got it pulled taut, and if I push on it, it'll come back up straight. But I'm not putting a boatload of pressure on it. I'm just using enough pressure to keep it taut. And you're just going, let's see if I can. All right, let me see if this is a better shot. Okay, you're putting that blade down on the razor down on the strop. Your spine and your edge stays flat on that strop. Now this is a 2.5 inch, so I'm going to have to do, a lot of people use an X stroke. I just use what I call a diagonal stroke. And I'm getting the whole edge of that razor. And you have to make sure that it stays flat. You don't want to torque it this way or lift it that way. You don't want to torque the edge into the strop or lift the edge up off and put more pressure on the spine. Even pressure from the spine to the edge And you should learn this until it's absolutely ingrained into you. Another thing is you're not going to go like that. You want to turn the razor, see, with your thumb and your finger. No pressure. You're not pushing down on it. And you want to make absolutely certain that the entire edge. Now you don't have to go. And that's about as fast as I ever get, okay? This right here, as long as you're always touching that edge and that spine when you're making a stropping motion. That speed right there, or even, and I encourage you when you first start learning to strop, go really flipping slow, just as slow as you possibly can, and stay smooth and get that feel of turning that blade and of keeping the spine and the edge on the strop. And one more thing that will save you some nicks. When you go to strop, you put that spine on the edge and begin to move and let it drop down to the edge. The same thing when you turn over. I'm going to begin to move, and that will keep me from making, when I flip the razor, from accidentally making this motion where the edge is moving on the strop in a forward movement. It's always trailing edge, not leading edge. So you're trailing that edge. Opposite motion from when you see people honing. And that's it. Another thing that I would say is when you, let's go back up here. When you put a razor back in its scales, you should always, I don't know if I can do it, you should always look and watch it. And if it's pulling to one side or the other, where it looks like the edge is going to hit the scale, pull it back a little with your thumb in whatever direction you need to do when you close that razor, especially vintage razors, but it doesn't matter. Funny things happen to razors all the time, straight razors all the time. They go out of center and people don't realize, and then they damage their edge. So you should always guide a straight razor's edge into the scales. But that's the basics of stropping. You must do that consistently in order to keep an edge on your razor. Everything else, nothing else matters. I don't care how, if you buy a $300 strop and you can't do that, then you need to go buy like a $40 or $50 strop and put the $300 strop away before you mess it up. Learn that technique and then go get your $300 strop if you want it. But that's the basics of stropping. You've got to do that right there. It sounds simple, and it is simple up here. But you got to get muscle memory in your hands, muscle memory. You got to get used to the way it feels when that razor glides over that strop, and you know that it's right. Listen to the sound, because if you lift the edge, if you torque the edge one way or another, particularly if you dig into the strop with the edge, which will result in a turned or a rolled edge, you'll hear a difference. So, and that's the deal. That's basic stropping. And take your time. This is not a race. You don't need to go fast. The speed that I showed you to practice at is plenty fast enough to to hone your razor and align the edge, because that's what a strop does. It doesn't hone or sharpen. It aligns the edge and makes it straight again and burnishes it a little bit so that you can shave with it over and over and over again. Because your razor is not getting dull. What's happening is when you shave with it and it cuts your beard hairs, it goes from this to this. The strop puts it back like this. That's the deal. Same thing with a kitchen knife and a what is that called? The little rod that you use on your kitchen knife. You should use on your kitchen knife every time before you use it. That's what it does. Your edge when you cut food does like that. It goes like that, all different ways, and it lines it back up. Same theory with a strop. That's what you're doing. So you don't have to have super speed or anything like that. Nice and slow and easy. And then if you want to get a little bit faster as you learn, go ahead. But in the beginning, it's slow and easy wins it. The turtle, not the hare. All right, God bless you. I hope that that's helped you. And have a good one. Bless you. Later.